I'm obsessed with a number of things. One thing I'm obsessed with is an idea that I have that clients, including me when I'm a client, are not saying a lot about what they're feeling. And they're often not aware of many things.
Yes, yes.
And there's all kinds of a taboo feeling, and a feeling that you want the therapist to like you. You don't say things that are going to upset the therapist. Not everybody. So here's really to try to pare down my question. Do you think that focusing oriented relational psychotherapy does something or is something that puts the client and the therapist in a relationship where the client is more likely to be authentic and say things that are even part of the frame, like, I don't want to pay you $250 to talk to, I want to pay you $50, or any, I'm also obsessed with money and how it's rarely spoken of when you read case studies, and, that's a taboo in my opinion, for patients and therapists very frequently. So that's just one example of a whole feeling that when you go into a session,
okay,
you gotta be careful.
Let me respond to that.
Okay.
Let's hope that I can respond to that succinctly, because there's so much in that. One of the basic things, and the relationalists talk about it as relational freedom. And there's a lot written about what inhibits unformulated experience, the experience of the felt sense, to put it in FOT language. And all of the unsayables that all of us carry around all the time, so many, including, of course, the client needs you to like them, because that's a basic need. So I'm going to just answer very briefly now, but we'll go back to this over and over again. One thing that Gene models is that real interest and non-defensive-ness, that he really is happy to hear that the client doesn't want to pay him $250, or the client thinks that he's wasting their time. I mean, there is a real wanting to hear that. And this helps me make another point also that I wanted to say, that listening to Bailey was very easy for me, because I was so appreciating her passion and her feelings, and she was in the same universe that I am. Listening as openly to someone who was saying things that I really disagreed with or upset me would be another step, right? And the client has to get implicitly, as well as sometimes explicitly, that the therapist really wants to hear the opposition, not just the compliance. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that when you're aware of the particular things that the relational issues and traumas and struggles are of each person, you, as a therapist, you're tuned in to those tender points. And they may be just like one supervisor took a couple of years to be able to tell me she hates my office, and she would never have an office like that with plants that aren't brand new, that some of my plants that was struggling really disturbed her. And it took a long time for her to be able to say that. And for me to be able to really take in from her perspective how dangerous it was to say that. And it did upset me. I looked at my plants and I said, oh no.
And the question was always whether she was identifying with those plants that weren't being taken care of.
Of course, yes. And once you can listen to that deeper level, then when you can listen to that deeper level, then you are less defensive because you want the welcome. You want the welcome of something that will disturb you, because the disturbance is the perturbation, right? It opens the system when something is disturbed. And if you don't like what the client is saying, then focusing gives us a way of saying, okay, I don't like it. It's like the weather in England. It's going to change. Let me hold on to my self-protectiveness and give it a few minutes of really listening and seeing where the person is coming from. And then it's going to change. If I stay stuck in my feeling of, why is she insulting my office? Then it's not going to change.